The Janitor's Daughter and the Violin. Lena walked through the halls of Westwood Academy every afternoon, her steps quiet as she followed her father. He was the school janitor, a kind man with rough hands and tired eyes, who worked tirelessly to make sure the floors gleamed and the classrooms smelled fresh. She often helped him, wiping desks, carrying supplies, and listening to the muffled laughter of students who never noticed her. No one at Westwood knew much about Lena. To them, she was just the janitor's daughter. Invisible. But she saw everything. She saw how the music teacher, Mr. Calloway, only picked the well-dressed kids for solos. She noticed how the other teachers whispered about her father, how some students left their trash on the floor without a second thought, assuming someone like him was meant to clean up after them. Then, one chilly afternoon, as Lena stacked chairs in the auditorium while the music class prepared for a recital, she overheard laughter. "You know what would be hilarious?" one of the older boys snickered. "Let's see if the janitor's kid can play something." The other students chuckled, and even Mr. Calloway smirked. "That's an idea," he said, looking at Lena. "How about it, young lady? Would you like to try?" The students barely hid their amusement as someone thrust a violin into her hands. It was a joke, a game to them. Lena could have walked away. Could have pretended she didn't care. But instead, she took a breath, adjusted the instrument under her chin, and placed the bow on the strings. Then she played. At first, there was disbelief, small, uncertain smiles still lingering on their faces. But as the first notes rang through the auditorium, those smiles faded. The laughter stopped. The room, once filled with arrogance and mockery, became utterly silent. Lena's fingers danced over the strings, drawing forth a melody so rich, so aching with beauty, that even Mr. Calloway's posture stiffened. The notes poured from the violin like a river, carrying years of unseen struggle, quiet dignity, and the love her father had instilled in her. By the time she finished, there were tears. Not hers, but in the eyes of those who had laughed at her. Even Mr. Calloway swallowed hard, as if trying to compose himself. "Where did you learn to play like that?" someone finally asked, voice hushed with awe. Lena lowered the violin. "My father," she said simply. "He taught me." The room remained still. The students who had once dismissed her now saw her, not as a janitor's daughter, but as something more. As someone who had taken their thoughtless joke and turned it into something they could never have expected. Mr. Calloway cleared his throat. "Lena, would you like to perform at the recital?" She glanced toward the back of the room, where her father stood, broom in hand, his eyes shining with pride. "Yes," she said, smiling. "I'd love to." That night, the school learned a lesson far greater than any music class could teach. True talent, true greatness, isn't measured by wealth or status. It can come from anywhere. Even from the hands of a janitor's daughter. And from that day on, no one ever overlooked Lena, or her father, again.